Our question at this time concerns a fashion statement, you might say. One has asked, why is it that the Bible condemns the braiding of hair? Now, whenever you look into the Bible, you might think, well, that's kind of an odd thing to say, and it's kind of an odd thing to bring up. But it is discussed in the book of 1 Peter chapter 3, and we're going to be looking at that here in just a moment. This passage has a context. It has a reason for why it says what it does, and so we're going to learn that reason here together. In the book of 1 Peter chapter 3, here's the Apostle Peter writing and speaking first of all to wives. And he says, likewise, wives, be subject to your own husbands, so that even if some do not obey the word, they may be won without a word by the conduct of their wives, when they see your respectful and pure conduct. Do not let your adorning be external, and here's our word, the braiding of hair, the putting on of gold, jewelry, or the clothing you wear. But let your adorning be the hidden man of the heart, he says, with imperishable beauty, of a gentle or meek and quiet spirit, which is in God's sight is very precious. And verse 5 says, for this is how the holy women hope in God, they used to adorn themselves by submitting to their own husbands. As Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, and you are her children, if you do good and do not fear anything that is frightening. And he goes on and says, likewise, ye husbands, live with your wives according to understanding, showing honor to the woman as the weaker vessel, since they're heirs together with you of the grace of life, so that your prayers be not hindered. Now right there nestled in the midst of this instruction to husbands and wives are these words about the braiding of hair. And what is he talking about there? Does God really condemn braiding hair? I mean, is that really the point? That he would condemn that action, and women can't tie their hair up in a braid, they have to just have it long or whatever, have it just a certain style other than braiding? Well, no, that's not the point. What you find is that this is in a context where he says wives, these wives were Christians. And the wives that were Christians, he says you could win your husbands to the Lord, and in this case he says you could win them without a word, but rather win them through your conduct when they behold your chaste conduct, when they behold you as someone who is living the life of a Christian. He says, now husbands see that, and then they themselves would be interested in becoming Christians themselves. And what was involved in this was this adornment. See, the adornment, verse 3. And if you just skip that other for a moment, the adornment, he says the putting on of gold jewelry, the clothing and so forth. He says what needs to be seen is not the outward appearance. He says that's not what is going to work, but rather it is the hidden man of the heart. That which is within, that which is within you, that must shine forth, ladies. That's the point. Now you talk about this braiding of hair. It's interesting. Back in those days, people would often braid hair, but they didn't just take, braid strands of hair together for a style. What they would do often is they would interweave within the hair strands of gold and strands of silver and so forth. And within that was a braid. And so when you looked at someone who had this braided hair, and in this case this lady had this braided hair, what she also would have within her hair were gold strands and silver strands perhaps and all of that. And so it made your eyes focused on that gold that was shining in the hair or the silver or whatever. And that's what he's saying here. It's not a condemnation of braiding hair. What it is do not let the adornment, the outward adornment, be so, pull your eyes away from what is the truth. See, in this case, he's trying to, for women to win their husbands, he said you need to win them through the chaste conduct, through your conduct that is befitting of a Christian. The conduct that shows the hidden man of the heart. That one that is showing through their word, through their deeds, through their choices in life, that I am a changed person. I'm not like the world anymore. I'm not like that. And because that's true, I'm not going to act like the world. I'm not going to do the things that the world finds important. I'm going to do the things that God finds important. And really, that's the point of that. Again, it's not a condemnation of someone braiding a hair, braiding and having that hairstyle. It is when someone is so focused upon the outward appearance and the outward adornment that they forget about the soul and they forget about what is most important. And that's what we need to be focused on, that which is of greatest importance, and that of the soul.